Hello, everyone, and welcome back to In the Yard podcast with your hosts, Colin Savala and Braeden Cox. And in this segment, we're going to be discussing the Derek Carr to the Saints trade, and also we're going to be discussing the NFC South scenario after the Panthers have traded for the number one pick from the Bears. So, Braeden, what are your first thoughts on Derek Carr to the Saints?
Yeah, I mean, we knew he was leaving Vegas. We just didn't know where he was going. I don't remember exactly where we predicted, but we were like the Jets,
Yeah,
Tampa
I
makes
thought I
sense.
thought he was
I
for sure
guess
going to the Jets.
Carolina makes sense. Basically, any team in the NFC South made sense. There was a lot of teams that would make sense. So it end up being the Saints isn't really too much a surprise for me. 4 year, 150 million, with 100 million guaranteed. Less than Daniel Jones, but he's getting more guaranteed money. You know, he's going into his 10th year. Does the contract surprise me? No. I really question, the Saints are last in salary cap, I think we said. So
Yes.
it's still a weird situation, but the NFC South is just pretty much across the board now that Tom has retired, pretty much across the board. You can look at any four of those teams and you could be like, you can make an argument for any one of those four teams winning that division next year. The Saints probably right now are the favorite just because they have the best quarterback, I would say, right now.
Yeah, the Buccaneers don't even have a quarterback. The
Yeah,
Panthers looks like they're going to be drafting a quarterback. We'll get to that in a second.
yeah.
And the Falcons, they're also have their hands tied. So yeah, the Saints are the only team in that division that have their true quarterback. And I think I like Derek Carr to the Saints. At first, I was a little, how is he going to win? But then I'm like, well, the division is very weak. So I'm just a little concerned. They're dead last in salary cap. I don't know how they're going to be able to uh, keep those receivers there now, and then let alone bring in other free agents. So I guess we'll see how it goes. But again, that division very weak. So I guess they'll all have a chance to win.
Yeah, I would say right now, if I had to pick, I'd probably pick the Saints to win the division, just because, and I mean that could change in a week. Like
Right, right.
a team in the
If
South
Jimmy G
could
goes to
go
the Bucks or something. Yeah,
exactly. Then
right,
the whole thing is flipped on its head. But right now, the Saints are the best team because they have the best quarterback.
right. So yeah, I think Derek Carr's contract was 4 years, 150 million. So in that aspect, similar to Danny Jones, but he was guaranteed 100 million um, for the contract. So again, a little similar to Danny Jones for yearly, but a lot more money guaranteed. So I'm happy for Derek Carr. I'm glad he got his bag,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see him in a new division, fresh start. Um,
Yeah, I mean his time in Vegas was just done. They kind of did him dirty. It really wasn't that cool. Like, there's a lot of people who are like very high up on Carr, and there's a lot of people who are like, this guy sucks, right? I'm kind of in the middle because I'm like,
mm,
we're talking about Las Vegas here. Like, you don't really, I mean, one year they're in the playoffs, the next year they're like one of the worst teams in football. You can't really
mm,
tell with this team. So I'm excited to see him on a new team, fresh start, different division, different conference. See what he can do in a division that I would say right now is his to lose, and is wide open.
yeah, good input there, Braden. So I guess that'll bring us to another team in the NFC South, the North Carolina Panthers. Not North Carolina, the Carolina Panthers, who just traded for the number one pick in the draft here for DJ Moore.
Yeah,
And
I
Brady, you
got
want
it.
to
I
get
got
the
it.
details on there?
Yeah, I got it. So the Bears trade the one pick to Carolina for the number 9 pick in this year's draft, number 61 pick in this year's draft, a first round pick in 2024, a second round pick in 2025, and DJ Moore. So 4 picks and DJ Moore, who's going to be the number 1 receiver probably in Chicago when the season starts, all for the number 1 pick.
Yeah. So Brandon, what do you think they did this?
That's just, and maybe that's just me. That's a lot to give up for the 1 pick. The way
Right.
I look at it is Carolina they must know right now, because they're taking a quarterback. You don't do this unless you're getting a quarterback, right?
Right.
And it's like, Anthony Richardson from Florida, C.J. Stroud from Ohio State, and then
Right.
Bryce Young. Like those are like the top three. You're picking one of those guys, and they know which one they want.
Right.
Right? You don't make a trade like this unless you know who you're going after. But that's still a lot because the way I look at it is they had the 9th pick this year.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't have the draft board up in front of me, but if you're picking at 9, I think any one of those 3 guys could be your guy. They got to be really high up on one of them. There's a possibility where one of those guys drops to 9. I don't know. It's probably not likely, but I don't know. Like if their goal, like unless they really want C.J. Stroud or they want Bryce Young and they think that another team is 100% taking them, I don't know. It's just a lot to give up for one pick. But who knows? I mean, like if you hit on the quarterback, you've got your future. Then it's worth it. But I don't know. Who's he going to throw the ball to? He just got rid of DJ Moore.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think? I know I already asked you a question before, but do you think that Anthony Richardson or Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud is the one they're going to go with? Like, do you have any idea which one they're going to go with? Because, like you said, I agree with you. I think there's no reason why you trade up for the number 1 pick unless you're getting a quarterback, right?
yeah.
Especially with this class.
The way I look at it, you said those 3. You said Richardson, you said Stroud, you said Young, and then there's the kid from Kentucky. Those are like your 4, right? Like, you're picking one of those 4 if you're Carolina. If I had to lean one way or another, it's probably either Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. I'd be very surprised. I think Anthony Richardson is that dude, but I think if you're Carolina, you're picking one of those 2. And I'm not really surprised by the fact that they wanted the 1 overall pick so they can go and draft a quarterback, because their quarterback situation is a complete mess because they had Baker and then they traded Baker and they had Sam Darnold, and it's like Sam Darnold is not really good, but he's shown flashes of being like really good, and then they've got like XFL quarterbacks in there, so it's a mess. So like it makes sense for them to just be like, you know what, we're done messing around with this QB carousel that we have going on. We're going to draft a quarterback, we're going to draft the future, right? Really, I mean, and you can give your input here. What teams in this draft do you look at that are like 99% sure they're probably drafting a quarterback? Carolina, Houston, and who else?
Carolina, Houston, maybe the Falcons. If the right quarterback
They just drafted
is there
a quarterback. They just draft a quarterback though.
Did they?
Yeah, didn't they do, what's his name?
Mills? No, he was on the Texans.
No, Mills is on the Texans. I forget his name. The guy who was playing
Riddler.
Riddler, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing that I kind of question about this is like I'm looking across the league, go division by division, right? How many teams are like, we need a quarterback? Carolina, Houston, maybe Atlanta. A team like Tennessee, they just drafted a quarterback. That's the thing that confuses me about this, because it's like you traded away all these picks. You traded away the 9th pick. You had the 9th pick. I don't know if those 3 or 4 quarterbacks are going to be taken in the top 9.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if you're really high up, let's say they're really high up on Anthony Richardson. I could see Anthony Richardson falling to the 9th pick, and they wouldn't have even needed to do all this if that's who their guy is. But if their guy is like, we want Bryce Young. You know what I mean? I get it then. To me, it's just still a lot to give up, including DJ Moore. All those picks, two first-round picks and 2 second-round picks, 2 picks in this draft, and your number 1 wide receiver. This just seems like a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely a lot. But, again, they must have a guy that they really want, and they didn't want to jeopardize anything to not be able to get him. So I guess we'll see who they go with. I'm sure we'll find out within the next coming weeks about who's going to be their guy. I'm leading Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
Good. He had a good combine.
He had a very good combine.
I just think that, I don't know, it's hard to. I would say it's between Richardson or Bryce Young right now, but I think
that's fair.
I would lean more Richardson, especially after his combine. I think they were probably like, all right, let's get Richardson if he's there, and they saw his combine, and then
Yeah.
they're like, okay, we need this guy,
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
then they traded up for the one pick. Could have
That
been
that
something like that. So,
that's a good
um,
call. That's a good call.
go ahead.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But what we know for sure now, what this tells me, is that the Bears are like, we're building around Justin Fields.
Right. I was gonna ask you. I was gonna get to that too a little bit. Like, so does this make the Bears a contender now? Justin Fields has DJ Moore to throw to. Didn't really have anyone to throw to last year, so maybe this will help him out a little bit.
To me, we got to pump the brakes on like their contender, right? I think their future is a little less murky now because now what all the chatter was this year was like, Justin Fields still in his first few years, like,
and now they have the 9 pick too.
They have the 9. That's still a good pick,
right?
You know what I mean? You could still go get a wideout at that. A good wideout
for
at
sure,
the 9th
for
pick.
sure.
If they're contenders, no, not this year. Because here's the way I look at it: in the yard, what team have we talked about being like this team is going to be a sleeper next year? What team
Detroit
is
Lions?
The Detroit Lions. So, are you saying like we're saying that the Lions are going to be better than the Bears? Obviously, right?
Yeah.
Minnesota won 14 games this year.
Right.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if Rodgers stays in Green Bay, all 3 of those teams are better than the Chicago Bears going into next year.
That's fair.
After this trade, still.
I wasn't thinking this year, but I was thinking maybe a couple of years from now if they stick with Justin Fields.
No, yeah, because their future is definitely, like I said, a lot less.
I think they'll be more competitive than last year, the Bears.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no, because they're kind of trying to build something. This trade tells me, okay, we're rolling with Fields. Let's build around him. Like he clearly has the talent. You know what I mean? Like he's been a little hot, cold, but like when he's been hot, he's been like, like running around the field is like watching him play. It's just like immaculate. It's crazy.
Remember, I think I sent you a top 10 Justin Fields plays clip, and I was just like, this guy is the plays he makes sometimes are just unbelievable.
It's unreal.
You see those flashes. Yeah,
it's unreal. But to do it consistently,
right?
That's.
I think he'll get there. I hope he gets there.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm not saying that. Definitely.
I'm sure as a Packers fan, you don't hope he gets there.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But I'm gonna like we talked about the NFC South. I think the NFC South and the NFC North are probably the 2 most interesting divisions going into next year, just because like you don't really know what's going on in the North because you got Minnesota, but like were they just a fluke? Did they just win? Did they just get lucky in a lot of games this year, right? And everyone's high up on Detroit. Like, are they gonna exceed, meet, or shoot below those expectations? Now you got the Bears, right? You don't know what's going on in Green Bay. And then the NFC South is a complete, it's a crapshoot. You can sit here and Anthony, like they could go draft Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson, and they could like come out strong, and they could go ahead and win the South. But like you said, what are the Buccaneers are going to do something here? Like Baker Mayfield has been linked to them, so maybe they try to get Baker in there. Is Baker the starting quarterback? Who knows? Jimmy Garoppolo's available. Who knows?
Right.
So, it's going to be very interesting. Definitely the NFC South and the NFC North are probably the 2 most interesting divisions going into next year. And I would say go ahead.
I think we're going to see a Buccaneers make a big splash at quarterback this year, whether they draft one or, they get Jimmy G or another free agent. So we'll have to see how that goes.
I think just Jimmy G.
NFC South is going to be bad, but it's still going to be fun to watch kind of thing.
Yeah, they're all going to be very average.
Yeah.
They're all going to be. I could see all the teams being like.
Well, the thing is,
like 7-8 win range.
Yeah, I feel like they'll be average this year, but then like the following years they're all going to be good.
Couple years, yeah.
So that's why we're watching them now. That's what happened. You saw in the NFC East. 2 years ago, they were all awful. Now, 3 of the 4 teams made the playoffs. So
yeah.
So yeah,
definitely will be interesting. And look, even this past year, like Atlanta was a team that everyone thought was going to be really bad, and they didn't make the playoffs by any means, but they definitely exceeded expectations, even though like they had, they were basically playing with two different quarterbacks. Like they definitely, as a team, exceeded expectations. Tampa, you kind of expected Tampa to win that division. The Saints with Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. We didn't even talk about Jameis Winston. Like, what's next for him?
Mm-hmm.
And now Carolina's got the 1 pick. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of different turning wheels here. So it'll be interesting. But I expect Tampa, like you said, to make a splash. Carolina already did. Atlanta might. And the Saints already have. So a lot changing. Definitely in the NFC South.
Right. Yeah, I think that we're running out of time here, so I think that about wraps it up for today.
Yeah, that's all I got.
So yeah, that's a Braeden and I's thoughts on the NFC South. Not gonna be great this year, even with the Derek Carr and the Panthers moved up in the draft, but we think there might be a bright future in the NFC South.
Yeah. But the Saints, I'm picking the Saints right now to win it. I mean, obviously,
Maybe it'll change by next episode.
It might. Who knows? But I'm saying the Saints right now. If as things stand right now, the Saints are definitely the best team in that division. With Carr.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll be posting more content soon.
Yep. See ya.
Thank you.